Ladies and gentlemen, let me hit you with something straight out the gate. You've been too busy looking out the window when you should have been looking in the mirror. See, life gets noisy. Everybody's got something to say about what you should do, where you should be, how you should act. Your friends got opinions. Social media's throwing comparisons in your face 24/7. You're watching other people win, and you're sitting there wondering, why not me? Let me tell you why. Because you've been distracted. You've been too focused on other people's moves, their timelines, their opinions. And while you're clapping for everybody else, you're forgetting to show up for Wawu. Here's the truth most people never tell you. The power to change your life, it's not out there. It's not in somebody else's approval. It's not in a relationship. It's not in a job title or a number of followers. It's in your ability to focus, not on them, not on Owen Day, but on why. This speech ain't about being selfish. It's about being smart. It's about finally understanding that the most powerful shift in your life happens the moment you say, I choose me. Not to please people, not to compete, but to build, protect, and love the life that's meant for you. Because when you focus on yourself, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start becoming. And that's when the world starts to feel different, not because the world changed, but because you did. So if you've been feeling lost, tired, stretched thin, always showing up for others, but forgetting yourself in the process, stay with me. This is your wake-up call. This is your turning point. This is the moment you learn the secret power of what happens when you finally focus on YOU. Let's make one thing real clear: comparison is a trap. It's a race with no finish line, and the only thing you win is self-doubt. Too many people are out here running around, chasing what somebody else has, trying to match someone else's timeline, living like life is some kind of competition. And the whole time, they're losing themselves in the process. But the game changes the moment you shift your attention inward. When you stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and start focusing on what you're doing, that's when you start to win. Because now you're not measuring your progress by somebody else's highlight reel. You're not wasting time trying to be the fastest, the richest, the most popular. You're focused on becoming the best version of you. The truth is, when you're too busy looking sideways, you lose your balance. You start stumbling in your own lane because you're too distracted by someone else's pace. Maybe they got there quicker. Maybe they look more polished. But none of that matters if you're not headed where you were meant to go. Your path is yours. Your purpose is yours, and nobody can walk it for you. Focusing on yourself means you stop reacting to every little thing other people are doing. You stop getting jealous when they win. You stop feeling less than when they post something shiny. Why? Because you know who you are. You know what you're building. And more importantly, you know that your success doesn't need to look like theirs to be real. See, when you compete with other people, you can only go so far. But when you compete with the person you were yesterday, now we're talking. That's how real growth happens. You start asking yourself, how can I improve? How can I level up? What do I need today? You stop chasing the image and start chasing your own progress. And here's the wild part: the moment you stop competing, you actually start standing out. Because while everyone else is busy trying to blend in, trying to be liked, trying to fit into some mold, you're just being you. And that's magnetic, that's rare, that's power. People will notice. Not because you're screaming for attention, but because your focus brings results. You're not all over the place trying to do what everyone else is doing. You're locked in, dialed up, doing what works for you. And that's when doors start opening. That's when opportunities start finding you. That's when people start asking, what's your secret? The secret is you stop competing. You stopped trying to keep up and you started showing up. You started building something real instead of chasing something fake. You put your energy where it mattered, on your goals, your health, your peace, your money, your dreams. And that energy came back to you multiplied. Let everybody else run their race. Let them talk, post, flex, and brag. That's fine. You're not in their lane. You're too busy building something solid, something lasting. You're not worried about being seen. You're focused on becoming someone worth seeing. And it doesn't mean you don't support others. It doesn't mean you're bitter. In fact, the more you focus on yourself, the more you actually can support others, because you're not operating from a place of insecurity. You're cheering people on because you're no longer threatened by their success. You're focused, not fragile. So the next time you catch yourself scrolling, comparing, or questioning your journey because of what somebody else is doing, stop, bring it back. Ask yourself, what do I need to do to be 1% better today than I was yesterday? That's the only race worth running. Because when you lock in on your own lane, you move different. You think different. You shine different. And that right there is how you stop competing and start winning. There's a kind of peace that hits different when you stop trying to be everything to everyone. When you finally stop chasing approval, stop fixing people who don't want to be fixed, and stop involving yourself in mess that has nothing to do with you. That's when your mind gets quiet. That's when your spirit calms down. That's when you start to feel powerful. Not because you're doing more, but because you've learned the art of doing less for others and more for yourself. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. But when it shows up, your whole life shifts. Suddenly, you're not drained anymore. You're not waking up already exhausted from people's expectations. You're not carrying the weight of everyone else's problems on your back. You can breathe, you can think. You can actually hear your own thoughts again. And in that stillness, that's where clarity lies. Most people don't even know they're addicted to chaos. They've been so used to being surrounded by drama, by noise, by distractions, that they think that's normal. They're always checking on who said what, who's doing what, who's winning or losing. But let me tell you, peace is the real prize. You don't need more attention. You need more alignment, and focusing on yourself is how you get there. When you make yourself the main character in your life, everything changes. You're no longer triggered by every little thing people say or do. You're not jumping into arguments, not entertaining foolishness, not losing sleep over situations you can't control. You've trained your mind to say, that's not mine to carry. And in that moment, you just bought back your time, your energy, and your peace. That's power. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to explain yourself to people who didn't want to understand you. How many hours you've lost replaying conversations in your head, wishing you had said something different. How often you've let somebody else's mood ruin your whole day. That's not peace, that's emotional chaos. And you don't have to live like that. You get to decide where your energy goes. You get to set boundaries. You get to say, no, I'm not dealing with that today. Not every call needs to be answered. Not every invite needs a hoes. Not every situation needs your opinion. Sometimes your silence is your strength. Sometimes your distance is your healing. And when you give yourself permission to pull back from what drains you, you give yourself room to grow. Now, don't confuse peace with weakness. A lot of people think that if you're not arguing, you're backing down. If you're not reacting, you're scared. That's not true. Peace is a choice, and it takes strength. It takes strength to walk away. It takes strength to let people be wrong about you. It takes strength to stay calm while others are throwing fire. But once you taste that kind of peace, you won't give it up for anything. Peace lets you focus. It sharpens your vision. It clears the clutter from your mind and gives you space to dream, to plan, to build. You can't create your best life while you're stuck in the middle of emotional traffic. You need room. And when you give yourself that room, that peace, everything becomes possible. You start hearing your intuition louder. You start making decisions with confidence. You start attracting better because you've raised your vibration. People will notice, too. They'll see that you don't respond the way you used to. You're not as available as you were. You're not explaining yourself, chasing or reacting. And that might bother them because when you change the way you show up, it reveals who was benefiting from your chaos. But that's okay. Let them feel how they feel. You didn't come this far to go back to noise. You came for peace. You came for growth. You came for more. So the next time you're tempted to get pulled into drama, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, you already know what to do. Focus on yourself. Stay in your lane. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. One of the hardest lessons you'll ever learn in life is this: you can't control people. You can't control how they think. You can't control what they say. You can't control how they treat you. And the more you try, the more frustrated you'll get. It's like trying to hold sand in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers. But here's the good news: while you can't control other people, you can control your growth. That's where the power is. That's where the real shift happens. The moment you stop trying to fix, change, or save other people and start focusing all that energy on becoming the best version of yourself, your whole life starts to elevate. The problem is, a lot of us spend too much time trying to change people who don't want to change. We try to make them see our worth. We try to get them to act right. We try to drag them into a better version of themselves, hoping they'll grow with us. But the truth is, some people are not meant to go where you're going. And that's not your fault, and it's not your job to carry them. Trying to control others is a trap that keeps you stuck. It keeps you emotionally tied to situations that are going nowhere. It keeps you from moving forward because you're always waiting on someone else to do the right thing. But life doesn't wait. Growth doesn't wait. Your future doesn't wait. And if you don't choose to move forward, you end up staying in the same place, hoping they'll catch up. Now let's flip that energy. Imagine what happens when you put all that effort back into YOU. Instead of worrying about what someone else is doing, you're reading, learning, healing, training, planning, and improving. You're doing the work. You're showing up. You're saying, I may not be able to control the world, but I can control how I respond to it. I can control how I show up in it. I can control how I grow through it. Growth is personal. It's not always loud. It's not always pretty, but it's powerful. It's waking up and deciding that your peace matters more than proving a point. It's recognizing when to walk away, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. It's choosing progress over pettiness. That's when you know you've shifted. When you're no longer reacting to everything because you've realized your focus is too valuable to be wasted. You don't need anyone's permission to grow. You don't need their approval. You don't need them to cheer you on. You just need a decision. Your decision that enough is enough, that you've been stuck too long, that you've outgrown old patterns, old circles, old habits, that you're ready to rise. And let me be real with you. Growth isn't always fun. It means doing the hard stuff. It means holding yourself accountable. It means letting go of people you love because they're not good for where you're going. It means making tough choices. But every time you choose growth, you're saying yes to your future. You're saying yes to the person you're becoming. You're saying, I may not be perfect, but I'm getting better every day. The most successful people aren't the ones who try to control everything around them. They're the ones who mastered themselves. They got their mind right. They got their habits right. They stopped trying to change the world before changing themselves. And once they focused inward, everything around them started shifting. So if you've been wasting time trying to get people to act right, to notice you, to treat you better, stop. That's not where the power is. The power is in what you do next. The power is in how you grow. Focus on that. Focus on your goals, your healing, your dreams, your discipline, your health, your spirit. Because the more you grow, the less their behavior matters. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the moment you stopped trying to control others was the moment you finally took control of your life. One of the reasons people stay stuck in life isn't because they're lazy. It's not because they lack talent or opportunity. It's because they're busy running away from something inside themselves, avoiding pain, avoiding truth, avoiding healing. They keep themselves distracted with noise, other people's drama, social media, endless business, anything to keep from facing what's really going on inside. But here's the truth. Healing only happens when you finally slow down and turn inward. And that only happens when you decide to focus on yourself. See, when you stay busy focusing on everyone else, you never give yourself time to sit with your own stuff. You push things under the rug, the heartbreak, the rejection, the disappointment, the trauma, until one day that rug is so full you start tripping over it. You wonder why you're always tired, angry, anxious, or confused. It's not because life is working against you. It's because you've got wounds that haven't been tended to. And those wounds don't just go away. They get louder until you finally listen. Focusing on yourself gives you the space to finally listen, to ask the hard questions. Why do I react that way? Why do I settle for less? Why do I keep repeating the same cycles with different people? That self-reflection isn't always easy. Sometimes it's painful, but that pain has purpose. It's trying to tell you where the work needs to be done. And you finally sit with it. When you face it, instead of running from it, you start to take your power back. Healing doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you choose to stop blaming everybody else and start taking responsibility for what's yours to fix. Not everything that happened to you is your fault, but your healing, that's your responsibility. No one can do it for you. No one can carry that weight but you. But here's the beautiful part. Once you start, you realize how much strength you really have. You realize you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. When you focus on yourself, you create room to break free from patterns that have held you hostage for years. You start to notice the toxic cycles you've been caught in. You stop making excuses for people who keep hurting you. You stop numbing the pain with distractions. You sit with your emotions. You talk to yourself like someone you love. You ask for help if you need it. And you give yourself what others couldn't or wouldn't. That's healing. It's not always about moving forward. Sometimes it's about going back to the parts of you that were left behind, the younger you who didn't feel heard, the hurt you that never got an apology, the scared you who still flinches at the thought of rejection. When you focus on yourself, you start repairing those pieces. You tell yourself, I've got you now. And that kind of inner trust, that changes everything. People think healing is just about letting go. But sometimes it's about letting in compassion, letting in forgiveness, letting in a new perspective, letting in peace. And none of that can happen while you're still focused on everybody else. That's why pulling your energy back isn't selfish, it's necessary. You're not abandoning people. You're returning to yourself. And don't worry if some people don't understand your journey. Healing is personal. You don't need to explain it. You don't need permission to focus on your own well, being not everyone will get it, especially if they benefited from you being broken. But the ones who matter will respect your growth, even if it means creating distance for a while. The more you heal, the more whole you become. The more whole you become, the less you need from other people. You stop chasing validation. You stop repeating old stories. You start creating a new narrative, one where you are strong, capable, worthy, and free. And it all starts with one decision: to stop avoiding and start focusing. So if you feel like something inside you is aching to be seen, something that's been buried for too long, don't run from it. Sit with it, listen to it, heal it. Because the moment you focus on yourself is the moment you begin to finally feel whole again. One of the most powerful things you can do in life is focus on yourself quietly, not loudly, not for show, not for social media, just for you. Because when you start moving in silence, when you stop broadcasting your every move, that's when the real transformation begins. That's when you level up, not just in results, but in mindset, in maturity, in peace. And the truth is, not everybody needs to know what you're doing. They don't need to hear about your goals. They don't need a front row seat to your process. The journey is yours and yours alone. See, there's a strength in silence that most people overlook. In a world where everybody's posting, updating, announcing, and proving something, choosing to stay quiet about your growth is rare. But it's also strategic. You're not hiding, you're protecting. You're not being secretive, you're being focused. Because when you take the spotlight off your progress and put it on your effort, your energy shifts. You're not looking for applause, you're looking for results. You're not talking about the climb, you're climbing. And the thing is, when you focus inward, you start noticing things. You see where your time was being wasted. You feel how your energy changes around certain people. You realize who was really for you and who just liked the access to you. You notice what habits were slowing you down. All that awareness, that's what levels you up. That's what builds your foundation. That's how you grow strong roots that don't get shaken when life gets tough. Leveling up in silence is also about discipline. It means showing up for yourself when no one's watching. It means waking up early, staying up late, saying no to things that feel good now but steal from your future. It means choosing the long game over quick rewards. You stop chasing likes and start chasing purpose. And you don't need anyone to see it or clap for it. The reward isn't in the attention, it's in the outcome. You start making changes from the inside out. You're reading more, thinking more, praying more, investing in yourself more, healing old wounds, breaking old habits, setting new goals. And you're not announcing any of it. You're just doing it. You're letting your results speak for you. Because you know something most people don't. Silence is not weakness, it's wisdom, it's focus, it's power. Eventually, people will notice something's different. They'll feel your energy shift. They'll see how you carry yourself, how calm you've become, how intentional you are, how you no longer respond to the things that used to trigger you, how you've stopped showing up where you're not valued. They won't know exactly what changed, but they'll feel it. That's the beauty of silent growth. It speaks the loudest without saying a word. And yes, some people will fall off. Some will be confused. Some will say you've changed, and you have. That's the point. You're not living your life in circles anymore. You're not repeating the same patterns. You're not entertaining the same drama. You've outgrown it. And you're not apologizing for that growth. You're embracing it. You no longer need validation to feel valuable. You no longer need people to get it. You get it, and that's enough. You've realized that the best parts of your journey don't need to be broadcast. They need to be lived, experienced, and protected. Because this is your season to focus, to build, to rise, not to prove, not to impress, just to elevate quietly, consistently, purposefully. So if you're in that season right now where you feel pulled to keep things to yourself, trust that instinct. It's not isolation, it's preparation. It's not hiding, it's evolving. Stay focused, stay grounded, keep moving. Let the world wonder what you're up to, because one day they'll see the fruit of everything you've been growing in silence. And they'll know you didn't just level up. You did it with grace, with strength, and without needing a stage. Something incredible starts happening when you stop chasing people and start focusing on yourself. When you begin to pour your time, your energy, your love, and your attention into becoming the best version of you. Better people, better connections, and better opportunities naturally start showing up. You don't have to beg, force, or prove anything. What's meant for you starts to recognize you. And it all begins with you making the decision to stop chasing and start becoming. See, when you're constantly focused on other people, on how to get them to like you, stay with you, respect you, you lose sight of your own value. You shrink yourself. You compromise. You start molding yourself into what you think others want. And in the process, you stop being authentic. You forget who you are. But when you bring the focus back home, back to you, everything starts to shift. You stop trying to fit into spaces that aren't made for you, and you start building a life that fits you. That's when your energy changes. And let me tell you, energy doesn't lie. When you're working on yourself, when you're healing, growing, glowing, and minding your own business, people feel that. The right people get drawn to it. Why? Because confidence is attractive. Self-respect is magnetic. Peace is powerful. When people see that you're grounded in who you are, that you don't need validation or attention to feel whole, they respect you more. And the ones who don't, they were never meant for your next level anyway. Focusing on yourself creates standards. You start realizing what you will and will not tolerate. You stop entertaining things just because you're lonely or bored. You stop settling for crumbs because you now know you're the whole damn cake. You know what you bring to the table, and if someone can't match that energy, you're not afraid to eat alone until they do. That kind of strength doesn't push people away. It filters out the ones who were only there for convenience, not commitment. And opportunities, they come when you're aligned, when you're doing the inner work, when you're showing up consistently, staying disciplined, and walking in purpose. The job shows up, the idea clicks, the door opens, because you've done the work to become ready. So many people want the prize without the process, but life doesn't work that way. Life gives more to the person who's prepared, focused, and willing to grow. When you start acting like the person you're trying to become, life starts treating you like that person too. It's not magic, it's momentum. You start by waking up earlier, setting boundaries, drinking more water, letting go of gossip, reading books, learning new skills, surrounding yourself with better influences, removing negativity from your circle. That creates motion. That motion builds confidence. That confidence draws in the right people, and those people open new doors. It's a chain reaction, and it all starts with that first decision to turn your focus inward. People often ask, why does it feel like I keep meeting the wrong people? Or, why can't I catch a break? And sometimes the answer isn't out there. It's in here. Because when you're not aligned with your highest self, you attract based on where you are, not where you're meant to be. But when you do the work, when you elevate, when you focus on healing, learning, and growing, your energy shifts. And so does your circle. The people who once felt familiar won't fit anymore. And that's okay. Better is coming. You won't need to beg for attention, approval, or love. The right people will see you. They'll respect your peace. They'll match your effort. They'll add to your growth, not subtract from it. And you'll know the difference. because you've done the work to become different. So focus on yourself, not because it's trendy, but because it's necessary. Because your future depends on it. Because you deserve to experience what it feels like to be fully aligned, fully seen, and fully valued. Starting with you seeing and valuing yourself first. The best relationships and the best opportunities don't come from chasing. They come from becoming. And when you become the best version of you, everything that's meant for you will come find you.